You know, sometimes one tiny little moment, one bad interaction before you even leave the ground, can completely change the trajectory of your entire life. That's what happened to my daughter. And It was a Tuesday morning, I remember. A perfectly crisp October day at O'Hare. And Anya, my bright, ridiculously talented 17-year-old, was flying first class to Geneva, not just any trip. She had secured a spot at this elite summer fellowship at the Global Economic Institute. I booked her seat to A on Continental Global Flight 314. I didn't want her flying coach across the Atlantic, you know? She deserved to be comfortable, safe, and maybe get a little sleep before diving into microeconomics. Anya walked onto that plane, turned left of first for her, by the way, and just sunk into that huge beige leather pod. She was wearing her favorite distressed denim jacket, a simple black hoodie, and some clean sneakers. Hair perfectly braided, ready for adventure. She pulled out a dog-eared copy of The Wealth of Nations. Yes. Leanne just felt this nervous, happy buzz. Her passport to a new chapter. But that little buzz got absolutely obliterated right around the time the passenger for to see arrived. This woman. Let's call her Carol Peterson. Carol looked like she was carved from a block of granite and then shellacked with expensive hairspray mid-50s. Blonde helmet, face pinched up like she smelled something bad. She stomped down the aisle, stopped dead at row 2, and her eyes, I swear, traveled from Anya's sneakers up to her hoodie, and then just locked onto her face with this look of pure, unadulterated disbelief. Anya, bless her heart, gave her a small, polite smile. But Carol ignored her like she was a stain on the carpet. She immediately flagged down the flight attendant, a sweet, seasoned woman named Denise. Excuse me. Denise, Carol clipped, her voice sharp and nasal. I think there's been a mistake with the seating here. I just need to verify. This is first class, correct? The emphasis she put on is, and first class was the loudest. It's the most offensive thing in that quiet cabin. Denise, ever the pro, gave her tired, practiced smile. Yes, ma'am, to C is right here on the aisle. Everything appears to be in order. Carol didn't even glance at Anya. I understand that, but I'm just surprised. Are we certain she belongs here? Maybe it's a glitch. Perhaps her ticket is for premium economy, and she just wandered up. Happens all the time, the phrase. Wandered up. It hung there, heavy and suffocating. Anya's face flushed red. That familiar, stinging heat of being scrutinized. Of being judged as an intruder in a space she had every right to occupy. But I'd taught Anya to handle these microaggressions with grace and data. Anya held up her boarding pass, that crisp, undeniable proof. Ma'am, I can assure you, I'm in the right seat. 2A. Carol didn't back down. She settled into 2C with a grunt and spent the next 20 minutes sighing dramatically, muttering loud enough for everyone to hear. The standards have just completely fallen, Gary, she hissed to her meek, perpetually apologetic husband across the aisle. For this kind of money, you expect a certain level of clientele. Anya, trying to be strong, tried to lose herself in her book, but the words were just a blur. The excitement was gone, replaced by a raw, weary dread. She quickly texted me, landed, seat is amazing. Little drama with the lady next to me, but it's fine. Love you. She put the phone on airplane mode. They thinking the worst was over. She had no idea the overture was just beginning. As the safety video wrapped up, Carol's hand shot out and grabbed Denise's arm as she passed. Miss, she hissed, pulling the flight attendant close. I need to speak with you now. Denise paused, alarmed. Ma'am, we're about to taxi... No, it is not all right, Carol whispered, leaning in conspiratorially. I don't feel safe. That trigger phrase. Post 9/11s, that's all it takes. Denise's professional demeanor snapped from hostess to authority. What do you mean, ma'am? Carol darted a contemptuous look at Anya. Her, she nodded. She's been agitated, looking around nervously. And she was texting frantically right before we were told to turn off the phones. I don't know who she was contacting. It just feels wrong. She clearly doesn't belong here, and I think she knows it. It was a beautiful, malicious lie. Anya gaped. What? I texted my dad. To tell him I boarded. That's all. But Denise had to follow protocol. She asked for Anya's boarding pass again, then her ID. When everything matched, Carol exploded. I don't care if the names match. Anyone can get a fake ID. I demand she'll be removed. I want her moved back where she belongs. The thinly veiled racism was now naked, ugly, and loud in that intimate space. Denise was out of her depth. The purser, a stern man named Julian, was summoned. He listened to Carol's hysterical claims, then turned to Anya. Miss Vilcek, he said with practiced authority, Mrs. Peterson has expressed a concern for her safety. To resolve this, we're going to have to ask the Port Authority police to come aboard and speak with everyone involved. Anya's heart hammered. The police. Because a woman didn't like the look of her? A few minutes later, Officer Mark Donnelly stepped onto the plane. He was a thick-necked, late-40s beat cop whose entire philosophy was built on snap judgments. He bypassed Julian, bypassed Carol, and walked straight up to Anya. He didn't see a talented student. He saw a problem, and he solved problems with force. All right, what's the problem here? He growled, his eyes fixed only on Anya. Before Anya could speak, Carol launched into her Oscar-worthy performance. Oh, thank you, officer. She's been acting suspiciously, refuses to cooperate, and became very aggressive when the crew questioned her. We are deeply concerned for our safety. Donnelly held up a silencing hand to Anya. Mom, I need you to calm down. Making a scene isn't helping your case. Out. I'm not making a scene. This is insane, Anya protested, her voice shaking with rage. Donnelly leaned in, taking on a patronizing, instructive tone. The way this works is, the flight crew calls me. Now I'm here, which means you are the problem. So, I'm going to need you to gather your things and come with me off the plane. The bluntness stole the air from her lungs. Humiliation washed over her. She was being removed valid ticket. Complete innocence didn't matter. No, Anya whispered. Then, stronger. No, I haven't done anything wrong. I paid for this. I'm not leaving. I can and will remove you by force if necessary. Donnelly's voice dropped ominously. Your call. Make it easy or make it hard. Tears pricked her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She wouldn't give them the satisfaction. Then she remembered my parting words at the curb. Anya, any trouble at all, you call me. I don't care what time it is, you call me. She reached for her phone, swiping to unlock. Don't even think about it. Donnelly warned, lunging for the device. You're done making calls. I have a right to make a phone call. She shot back, defiant. Just then, a massive, broad-shouldered man in 3C stood up. Hey, leave the kid alone. We've all been sitting here watching. This woman, he pointed at Carol, is the problem. She's been harassing her since she boarded. That brief distraction was the second Anya needed. Her thumb hit the call button. Ring, ring. Donnelly turned back. His face contorted in fury, making a grab for the phone, but it was too late. A calm, powerful voice answered on the other end. Anya, what's wrong? Is everything okay? Dad, she sobbed, the single word a desperate plea for rescue. Dad, they're trying to take me off the plane. And just like that, Marcus Vilcek, CEO of one of the world's most influential tech security firms, was brought into the conflict. Donnelly and Carol had just kicked a hornet's nest, and they had absolutely no idea how big the hornets were. I was in my home office, overlooking Lake Michigan. I had been tracking Anya's flight status. It was a ritual land. When the delay popped up, I felt that familiar parental twinge. When the phone rang, and I heard the sheer, unadulterated fear in her voice, that twinge became a seismic shock. Anya, talk to me. What is happening? Who is trying to take you off? A police officer. The woman next to me lied and said I was a threat. He won't listen to me. He's trying to take my phone. I could hear Donnelly yelling in the background. Give me the phone. You're done. The rage that flooded me was cold, pure, and suppressed instantly. Panic achieves nothing. Ruthless action achieves everything. I switched into the mode that built my empire. Anya listened to me very carefully. My voice was low, steady, a lifeline in her storm. Put the phone on speaker. Hold it up so he can hear me. Do it now, Anya fumbled and hit the speaker. My voice, amplified by the tiny device, filled the tense cabin. This is Marcus Vilcek, I stated, devoid of emotion, radiating authority. To whom am I speaking? Donnelly hesitated, clearly surprised by the commanding tone. This is Officer Mark Donnelly, Port Authority Police. Officer Donnelly, I said. My words clipped. You are currently attempting to unlawfully remove my 17-year-old daughter, ticketed passenger from Continental Global Flight 314. On what grounds? Sir, your daughter is causing a disturbance based on a security complaint, he recited the jargon. Based on a false security complaint, I've heard, I countered. Did you conduct an investigation, officer? Did you interview any other witnesses? Sir, my investigation is ongoing, and it will continue when your daughter is off the aircraft. That will not be happening, I declared. It wasn't a request. Now I want you to listen to me very, very carefully. I am the founder and CEO of Aura Security Solutions. Does that name mean anything to you? Silence. He was a beat cop, not an executive. Let me rephrase, I continued, my voice taking on a razor-sharp edge. You will hand this phone to the highest-ranking Continental Global employee on this aircraft, the purser or the captain, immediately. Sir, I am in control of this situation. You think you are? I cut in, my voice dropping to an icy whisper. You are a man with a badge on a single airplane? You have no idea what situation you are in. Hand the phone to the purser now, or I promise you the consequences will be severe and immediate for both you and your airline. The sheer, unadulterated power in that voice finally pricked Donnelly's arrogance. He thrust the phone toward Julian. Julian Calloway took the phone like it was a live bomb. Hello, this is Julian Calloway, the purser. Mr. Calloway, my name is Marcus Vilcek. My company, Aura Security, has an exclusive corporate travel contract with your airline. The account number is AS77 Delta. I want you to look up that account. I want you to look at the annual expenditure. It's an 8-figure number, Mr. Calloway. It pays for hundreds of your first and business class seats every single month. It is one of the largest corporate accounts on your entire balance sheet. Julian was sweating. He knew the Delta accounts. They were the airline's untouchable white whales. Our contract, I continued, chillingly calm, contains a standard ethics and conduct clause, stipulating that all travelers under our account, including family, are to be treated with dignity and respect. Guaranteed passage, free from harassment and discrimination. Your airline is currently in gross violation. The other passengers were mesmerized. This wasn't a confrontation. It was a corporate execution. Here is what is going to happen. You will instruct Officer Donnelly to return to his duties off this aircraft. You will offer my daughter a sincere and public apology, and you will deal with the passenger who made the false complaint. If my daughter is not in her seat, with the plane door closed and ready for takeoff in the next 10 minutes, you can consider the Aura security contract, all 7 years, and all $150 million of it, terminated, effective immediately. I will call your CEO, Mr. Harrison, myself. Do you understand me? Yes, sir, Julian squeaked. I understand completely. Julian handed the phone back to Anya, his entire demeanor transformed from deference to panicked command. Officer, thank you for your assistance, but we no longer require your presence. This is now a corporate matter, a very, very serious corporate matter. You need to leave now. But it was too late. 10 minutes had passed. I looked at my watch, took a deep breath, dialed the personal cell number of the Continental Global CEO. I wasn't just getting the flight delayed anymore. I was having it canceled. A moment later, a frantic call came through on Julian's communicator. His face turned ashen. He looked at the passengers, at Donnelly, and then settled his gaze on Carol Peterson with an expression of pure, concentrated loathing. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, his voice cracking I have just spoken with the captain, who was just spoken to by our corporate headquarters. Due to an unforeseen and catastrophic operational issue, Continental Global Flight 314 to Geneva has been canceled. Collective gasp swept through the cabin. Not delayed, canceled. An entire Boeing 777, with nearly 300 passengers grounded because of a small, ugly moment in row 2, canceled. Carol shrieked, finally finding her voice. What do you mean canceled? I have a connecting cruise. Donnelly jolted out of his impotent fury, grabbed Julian. You can't cancel a flight over a customer complaint. Julian wrenched his arm away, his fear replaced by furious exhaustion. It wasn't a threat, officer. It was a promise. The call was made. The Aura account has been pulled. It's an astronomical loss. Our CEO is calling it the single most expensive customer service failure in the history of this airline. Thanks to you, he jabbed a finger toward Carol, and you toward Donnelly. The man in 3C yelled at Carol, "Are you happy now? You and your pathetic bigotry just ruined the travel plans of 300 people." Another passenger shouted at Donnelly, "You were supposed to keep the peace, not escalate this into an international incident." Cell phones, now openly recording, were held aloft, their lights accusatory. The scene descended into chaos. Donnelly stomped off the plane. Carol was surrounded, verbally assaulted from all sides. Her pathetic husband, Gary, looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. Amidst the pandemonium, Anya sat in her seat, shell-shocked. Julian approached her, his body language a profound apology. "Ms. Vilcek," he said, humbled. "On behalf of every employee, I am so sorry for what you endured. Your father, he has arranged a private car for you on the tarmac. A private jet is being fueled at Teterboro to take you to Geneva. It will be waiting." A private jet. My daughter hadn't just survived the game. I had changed the rules and burned the chessboard, escorted by a frantic-looking airline executive. Anya walked down the jet bridge, down the stairs, and onto the tarmac. As a sleek black Escalade pulled up, she looked back at the massive, inert, bowing 777. An entire corporation humbled, 2 lives irrevocably altered for the worse. All because Carol Peterson couldn't stand the sight of a young black woman in first class. The fallout was nuclear. The videos hit the internet like a cluster bomb. Within hours, Carol Peterson was identified via LinkedIn. Her employer, Provident Bank, was drowned in a digital tsunami. Phone lines jammed, news vans parked outside. By 9 a.m. the next morning, Carol was terminated from her senior loan officer position, a 6-figure salary, gone. Her husband was sidelined. They sold their sprawling Connecticut home at a massive loss and fled to the Midwest. Social pariahs. Their comfortable life shattered by one act of ugly prejudice. Officer Mark Donnelly. He was placed on administrative leave, his career history excavated. Aura Security's legal team sued the Port Authority, winning a substantial 8-figure settlement. The key condition: a complete top-to-bottom overhaul of their officer training program, focusing on implicit bias. Donnelly was fired for gross negligence and falsification of reports, losing his pension and his identity. He had to sell his house, ending up in a small, miserable rented condo in a forgotten corner of Florida, forever defined by the viral moment of his own making. The officer who tried to remove a girl from her seat was permanently removed from the life he knew. Anya. She thrived in Geneva. The experience didn't break her. It forged her. She channeled the cold rage into purpose. That 8-figure settlement became the seed money for the Vilcek Initiative for Accountable Justice. Its mission is clear: to fund litigation against abusive institutional power, and to weaponize corporate spending for social good by forcing accountability clauses into every major contract. Anya now serves as the Foundation's youth ambassador. I remember watching her first public speech. She stood at the podium, looking out at a sea of faces, and told her story not as a victim, but as a case study. The terrified 17-year-old was gone, replaced by a poised, influential advocate who could command a room. She found a new, more important seat, one at the table where real change is made. you see. Carol and Mark tried to enforce an invisible barrier, a system of who belongs and who doesn't. And they were right about one thing: the system is brutal. But they found out the hard way that when the system is challenged by immense power and absolute moral certainty, the consequences aren't just harsh, they're final. So what do you all think? Was the cancellation of a whole flight 300 people a necessary collateral damage to enforce accountability? Was Carol's entire life being destroyed a fair price for that moment of blinding bias? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and please, like and subscribe if you believe power should always be used to protect the vulnerable.